A charger is a charger, right? It's what I keep telling myself, but they're not. The last big round that I did, this was the best charger. And this new batch, it barely breaks the top 10. Now I spent over 2 months testing all these products, had to build a new test rig to do so. Now I do this because I'm a reviewer, not an influencer. Nothing on my channel is sponsored. There's about $1,000 worth of chargers here and I bought them all myself. This is the behind the scenes video of how I narrowed it down to the top 3, which are these guys. The final top 3, I am still doing the numbers for it, but that's next video. The one thing that I've seen over my years as a reviewer, not influencer, is that Apple doesn't really skimp on their charging bricks. But the question I always have is, are they the best? And that's what we're gonna find out. Because Apple stuff isn't the cheapest, it's not always the fastest, and with everything being stupidly expensive, let's see if I can save you a few bucks. So I've put in about 4 days worth of work up to this point, and I've had a plan to do this video months ago, but it's been an absolute crap show for me between getting sick and the construction being done to my studio. So this isn't the first time I've done a charging test video. The last time I did it, we tested all these products, and I think the best one was, nope, not this one. I think it was this guy was the best products. So how I tested those products, it made a lot of sense to me, but I've definitely upgraded all my testing processes, so we're gonna do the same for these wall chargers. We're gonna have to print some stuff, and then we're gonna have to build some stuff. So the product that prompted me to do this video was this one. It's Apple's newest 40-watt dynamic power adapter. When it comes to charging your iPhones, it's supposed to give 50% in 20 minutes instead of 50% in 30 minutes, which is significant. When I read the marketing fluff, I basically see this as your iPhone having like a little NOS button when it's charging itself, and like when you push it, it goes but I kind of want to see if it's a true 60-watt charger. If I could just consistently pull 60 watts, that's what we're going to figure out. So initial test, I'm going to take this dynamic charger, going to pair it with this thing. This is a power meter that allows me to dictate what power protocols I can pull. Then I'm going to use it to charge my laptop, which is almost dead. So there's the power brick, got the meter plugged into the laptop, and we are getting a decent 60 watts. So for this charger, it has this thing called AVS and allows it to go from very low to very high. So it gives you that 27 to 60 watt range. So at the end of the day, I don't think this dynamic power adapter is really that fancy. It's just a 60-watt charger because my laptop is pulling 60 watts from it right now. It just has a new charging protocol called AVS. So does this box of chargers have AVS protocols? I don't think so. So now I guess we have to test for it. All my thermal cameras are being used testing these rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, so I need to build another one of these. My garage is 2 things, and they are things that do not get along with one another. It's a gym, as well as a wood shop. So to build the platform, I gotta move all my gym stuff over there and then move out some of the wood shop stuff. But I haven't worked out today yet, so we're gonna do a workout. It's -5 Celsius, so about 23 degrees Fahrenheit. It is uncomfortable to work out in this temperature. My garage is basically unheated, though I do have a little propane heater going just to take the bite out of the air, like definitely see my breath. The goal is just to get my heart rate up so that I can drink a bit more this weekend. The worst thing about working out in the cold is it takes so long to feel warm. So like, I warmed up for like 20 minutes, started the workout, wasn't even warm up. No, I finally feel warm after the workout. Had to get some supplies, now I'm ready to go build some stuff. Probably shouldn't be woodworking in sandals. So I just realized this doesn't look right to me. This is 16.5 inches, and I'm pretty sure the Siglant is bigger than this. I think I screwed this up. So I laminated 2 pieces of plywood together to make the feet because I had a bunch of scrap wood and I thought, you know, I'll save a couple bucks here and there. No, I also don't think I've let the glue dry enough because it's still kind of wet, so I'm done for today. All right, back to cosplaying as a woodworker. So I did check over the weekend. This is the right size for the Siglant. So also found this 2x2, so I'm just going to use this for the legs instead of my poorly laminated plywood things. One of these things is not like the other. Can you tell which one? So I got all my holes, gonna put these insets into them, but I'm gonna epoxy the holes, you know, just because. Really don't want to have like an $800 piece of hardware just like fall out of this, like whatever thing I'm making. I gotta figure out where the this extrusion's gonna go on the top piece. Ugly as sin blowouts at the back. So this is annoying. In order for me to tighten this fully, I need a number 6, and it's not in my tool set, so this is a little annoying. It doesn't sit flush. Well, it is what it is. So much better lubing up the hole instead of the thing that goes into the hole. There we go. These spray cans have this new nozzle. I do not like it whatsoever. Clogged, clogged, clogged. There is a slight breeze going, so I am a little concerned about my little tent thing blowing away. Like, that's not gonna be good. Wait a few minutes for the off-gassing to start, and then I'll bring it inside. So I'm just waiting for all this stuff to dry. I'm waiting for stuff to show up. The Raspberry Pi 5, that's an extra $100 now. So I figure I get started on the printing. Again, I'm not the only one who thinks these supports are creepy looking, right? Now, if you watch my AA charging BTS video, you'll know that I complained about this. I was able to fix this in just a slicer, so putting a negative part. So with this updated setup, one thing I wanted to do was to actually mount the Raspberry Pi on the back of the extrusion that's sticking up the middle. So I printed this. I'm gonna insert some threaded insets, standoff screws, so there's a bit of clearance for airflow. And I'm gonna mount this onto the back of this extrusion so that I've got the controller with the Siglins anywhere I decide to take it. The little one's going so much quicker. All the parts are finally here. Let's finish this thing off. This is gonna really bother me. I need to put these rubber feet in these corners. I don't think it's a good idea to fit a screw in between these two existing screws. So I'm gonna put them kind of not in the corners, and that's gonna bother me so much. I know this is gonna be a bit of overkill, but I think I'll put a small piece of wood here just to prevent this entire setup from twisting. I'm building this thing like I'm gonna move it a ton. I'm really not going to, but might as well do it properly. I ran out of short ones, had to use a long one, which means this little knob thing is too short. Why? This looks ridiculous. The surface area of this is actually pretty small, so I'm going to put a pretty big piece to put on top of it, but it's the best I can do for now. Probably didn't need a piece that big. All right, so this is a totally self-contained discharge station. And everything plugged into the Raspberry Pi. If I just need to pick this thing up, I could just move it. Just gonna put it into that corner for now. Pretty awesome. So I'm running into a bit of a mental block. These are all the chargers I'm testing, and yes, I realize that I've got the color combination of Velma from Scooby-Doo. I don't know, that's just how I decided to dress myself. But here's my problem with the chargers I'm testing. Most of them have 3 ports. What I've done so far is just to test 1 port. And I know I've done enough to say what is a good charger, what is a bad charger, but there's just this little fly in my head that's just saying, no, you gotta do it all properly. So how do I solve that problem? So I ordered some stuff. It is much bigger than I thought it would be. Shwing. Smells like electronics. Who uses this? So the goal with these things, I bought 2 of them, is to put a steady load on the 2 ports that I'm not testing. Most of the times these chargers, they say like 65 watts. It's usually only for 1 port. And so if I load both of them, will it still produce 65 watts? You know, what's the performance for them? I think that's going to be a important metric to gauge against. I think I paid about $130 for each one of these, and it's just a simple load. It is basically a really cheap version of this Siglent. These things in my setup will basically do the same thing, except for this will not be programmable as much as my Siglent. The worst thing is that this thing doesn't come with a manual. Oh no, there's this. I can plug this in. Let's turn it on. Scan for the manual. Who cares? Let's just push buttons. What does this do? What does this do? What does this do? I don't know how to plug this into here. Here? Does that make sense? How do I go back to the screen with the manual? No. 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 So here's a plan on how I'm going to decide what the best chargers are. So I'm going beyond just plugging it in and saying it works, because I'm a reviewer, not an influencer. Now I'm going to test across these voltages because different devices have different needs. In general, 5 volts are small things like rechargeable batteries, 9 volts are your phones, and 15 volts, tablets or computers. Now for each voltage level, I'm gonna do some surge testing when I ramp up the current. This test just finished and it failed. And the point of the surge testing is to see how it performs at just different levels. But it really doesn't tell me anything about performance over time, which is why for every charger, I'm gonna do a 20-minute test at 80%. Basically just testing if the charger can hold on, because that test is gonna be where better products start to pull away. But how about just giving her 100%? Well, I'm gonna do a 10-minute charge test at 100%, just pushing it to the limit. And oddly enough, one of these Anker products actually fails that test. Now everything right now is what the charger can give a device. How about what the charger takes from the grid? I've got this meter thing plugged, I don't know if you can see it right there, and it's going to allow me to measure the efficiency, the energy in and out of the charger, as well as, because I've got the thermal camera going, I'm going to be able to measure the thermal efficiency. Now most of these chargers have PPS, which is kind of advanced charging, allows the device to be very specific in what kind of energy it pulls from the charger. And to test PPS, I get to do all these tests again with this protocol. But what about chargers with multiple holes? I'm going to fill the holes because I really want to know when a product says it's 65 watts. Is that total when it's fully loaded, or is it just, you know, when it's fully loaded and 65 watts? So in addition to this load, I've got these loads, which allows me to fill up all the holes, and I get to do all these tests again with all the holes filled. That's going to be the ultimate way to sniff out the marketing bullcrap that companies love to feed us. Now after all that, the final phase of testing is actually doing it with a real device, which apparently I don't have one within arm's length, but I'm going to use it to charge iPhones. Now after all that, the best chargers should be pretty obvious, which I'm hoping to show you in the next clip unless something bad happens. Collected all my data. So out of this box of chargers, here are the top 3 for solo charging and top 3 multi-device charging. It's actually only 4 different products. These 3 products are really good for solo charging, and this product and this product, these are really good for multi-device charging. Now, as I said earlier in the video, the final thing I have to do is run the charge test against an actual iPhone. That's going to determine the actual top 3, but based on my raw data testing, these are the best products out of the 12, 13 that I've tested so far. So for those wondering how the last best charger, this is the Anker GAN Prime 735. This was the best one that I tested 2 years ago, and out of the 13 products, it's number 10 out of 13. Just so you know. Anyways, if you want to know how things pan out, make sure you check out that top 3 video. That's all I got for this behind the scene videos for testing wall chargers, 65 watt-ish and under. Hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making it. It actually really helps with my testing process, having to do this type of vlog, because it just kind of keeps me on track, because I can always go and look back on what I've done. So I'm having a lot of fun doing this style of format of videos. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'm going to post these whenever I finish them, because I can't test any faster than I am. Thanks for watching.